Did a witch really summon the ghost of a dead king? Or is the story of the Witch of Endor something much darker than what we've been told? The Bible gives us just enough to spark our imagination, but leaves behind a mystery that's puzzled scholars for centuries. What really happened that night? Buried deep within the Old Testament is a story unlike any other. A tale of a desperate king, a forbidden séance, and a spirit summoned from beyond the grave. It's a passage that has sparked debates among theologians, historians, and skeptics for centuries. The account of King Saul and the Witch of Endor. Was it magic? Was it deception? Or was it something else entirely? To answer these questions, we need to go back to the source and explore not just the text, but the world in which this story was told. The story of the Witch of Endor appears in the first book of Samuel, chapter 28. King Saul, facing the looming threat of war with the Philistines and abandoned by God, turns to something forbidden, a medium, a practice strictly outlawed in Israel. What follows is one of the most enigmatic and controversial scenes in the Bible. A ghostly apparition, a cryptic prophecy, and a tragic ending. But here's the problem. The text raises more questions than it answers. Who was the Witch of Endor? Was she truly a witch, or something else? Did she really summon the spirit of the prophet Samuel, or was it all an illusion? And why does this story stand out as one of the few times the Bible seems to condone what it condemns elsewhere? To uncover the truth, we'll dive into the historical context, the cultural beliefs of the time, and the interpretations that have emerged over the centuries. The story begins with King Saul, the first king of Israel, at his lowest point. The prophet Samuel, his spiritual guide, has died, and Saul finds himself abandoned by God. Neither dreams, prophets, nor the sacred Urim provide him with answers. Desperation drives him to seek out a medium, despite having outlawed such practices. The Witch of Endor is introduced as a nameless woman, living in secrecy due to Saul's own decrees against witchcraft. Disguised, Saul approaches her and asks her to summon the spirit of Samuel. After some hesitation, she performs the ritual, and Samuel's ghost appears. Or so it seems. Samuel predicts Saul's death in the coming battle, a prophecy that comes true. Was she a real witch? The Bible is ambiguous. She's called a medium or necromancer, terms that suggest a connection with the dead. But in ancient Israel, witchcraft often referred to a broad range of practices, from divination to casting lots. Historically, mediums were both feared and sought after, particularly in times of crisis. But what makes the Witch of Endor unique is how the text portrays her. Not as a villain, but almost as a reluctant participant. She seems surprised and terrified when Samuel's spirit actually appears, suggesting this might not have been a typical occurrence for her. This is where interpretations diverge. Some believe the Witch of Endor was genuinely capable of summoning spirits, and that Samuel's ghost was a real, supernatural event. Others argue that the apparition was a deception, either by the witch herself or as a divine act of God. Interestingly, the text doesn't describe the ritual in detail, leaving room for speculation. Some scholars suggest the vision could have been a psychological projection of Saul's guilt and despair. Others point to the possibility of divine intervention. After all, the prophecy comes true. To understand this story, we need to step into the ancient world. In the ancient Near East, necromancy wasn't unusual. The Assyrians and Babylonians had their own rituals for communicating with the dead, often as a way to seek guidance in times of uncertainty. For the Israelites, however, such practices were strictly forbidden. The Torah explicitly condemns witchcraft, mediums, and necromancy, which makes Saul's actions even more shocking. This cultural backdrop adds layers of complexity to the story. Was Saul's visit to the witch an act of rebellion, desperation, or both? And why would the Bible include a story that seems to validate a forbidden practice? The Witch of Endor has been a subject of theological debate for centuries. Early Christian thinkers like Augustine believed the apparition was a demonic trick, while others, like Martin Luther, saw it as a divine exception to the rule. Modern scholars often approach the story from a literary perspective, viewing it as a moral lesson. Saul's downfall is attributed to his disobedience and lack of faith, and his visit to the witch is the final act of defiance that seals his fate. The climax of the story and our exploration is the moment when Samuel's spirit delivers his chilling prophecy: Saul and his sons will die, and Israel will fall to the Philistines. This moment is pivotal, not just for its dramatic weight, but for what it reveals about Saul's character. Saul's journey from God's chosen king to a desperate man consulting a forbidden witch is a tragic arc that raises profound questions. Did Saul's lack of faith lead to his downfall, or was his fate sealed from the beginning? And what does this story say about the nature of divine judgment? The Witch of Endor is more than a curious story. It's a window into the fears, beliefs, and struggles of ancient Israel. It challenges our understanding of morality, fate, and the supernatural. Whether you see it as a literal account, a moral allegory, or something in between, one thing is certain: the mystery of the Witch of Endor continues to captivate us. If you want to uncover more ancient mysteries like this one, subscribe now or check out our next video. You won't want to miss it.